there, welcome to our first edition of 5 Minutes, 5 Questions. My name's Claire Harrington and I head up corporate marketing at Flight Centre Travel Group for EMEA. And I'm delighted to be joined here by Jo Greenfield, who heads up corporate land. Hi, Jo.
How are you doing, Claire?
Not too bad, thanks. Thank you for joining us for our first episode.
Pleasure.
So can you give us an overview of who our corporate land suppliers include?
Yeah, absolutely. So our department looks after anything that's a non-airline supplier. So we're responsible for working with hotel chains, global and local, rail, car hire, transfer providers, along with our in-house visa service and vaccinations, and also the aggregators that we have partnerships with. So our job is essentially to ensure that the deals work commercially for both sides, and that we deliver market-leading content to our corporate customers across Flight Centre, all the way from the large multinationals to the small SMEs who are looking for a good deal and enhanced duty of care.
Brilliant, thank you. And in your role, what changes have you seen within our corporate land suppliers during this pandemic?
Well, I suppose what changes haven't we seen? But obviously, as of 24th of March, the government dictated that hotels had to close unless they were serving key workers. So without much notice, all the hotels in particular had a huge amount of work to do. So those who stayed open had to put in place really stringent health and safety standards, both for their staff and for their customers, and also balance the commercial aspects with very, very low occupancy rates and very low rates which they were giving to the key workers. I mean, everyone in the industry really stepped up, and there's some great low fixed rates for the people who have to use the hotels. And that's just not just key workers, but also domestic abuse victims, homeless. So really working closely with the government to support the country in this pandemic. So car hire held up slightly longer, and we saw that happening. But apart from companies who diversified with, say, refrigerated vans, they also dropped down to less than 20% of volume. However, service departments have remained profitable because they've got long stay customers in there, and there's the ability to self-cater, so they're lower risk. So that's an interesting sector to watch as travel comes back.
Absolutely. And how are our suppliers getting ready for business travel to start to return?
So we are starting to look at it. Hotels who are shut obviously have needed to keep the businesses in the buildings going. So they've mostly got core teams living in there, spending their days flushing toilets and turning on taps so that things are actually ready to reopen, which must be a pretty strange life for them. But also starting to look very carefully at commercial and operational impacts of opening under this new situation. So the government's put in basic guidelines for the industry, but obviously it's a huge job for the suppliers to change their business and prepare for it. So for example, if you take social distancing, food and beverage will have a huge change. I mean, sadly, the world of breakfast buffets will probably be no longer, and the hotels are looking to deploy their staff from bars and gyms into that. And car hire and transfer providers also obviously have stringent cleaning routines. So everything needs to be slowed down to get the turnaround right for enhanced safety. And I guess at the same time, because all the suppliers have had to furlough so many staff and unfortunately make some redundant, they've got to keep their businesses viable. So for you as customers, many of your day-to-day contacts may not be working. So we're working really hard to fill that gap, make sure that we're collating information on openings, new procedures and recommendations. So definitely suggest you talk to your TMC about how you navigate through your company the return to travel.
Absolutely. And on that basis, how would you suggest that a travel manager prepares for their travel program to restart?
It's a tough question, isn't it? I think firstly, you need to look at your priorities. Obviously, the most important thing will be safety. It's been talked about for a long time, but now obviously that is the big number one. So you've got to ensure you work with the TMC to look at end-to-end travel plans for the safety of your travellers. So, you can get to change your program potentially, and your TMC will guide you on what providers are going to help you get people back on the road. Secondly, I think there will be a reassessment of what travel is essential. So our customers are even more convinced that a face-to-face meeting, obviously at 2 meter distance, has its value after months of Zoom calls and Zoom fatigue that I think we've all got. But you need to work out whether there's a real ROI on your travel. So we anticipate a lot of internal meetings will remain virtual for quite a while, and that you need to look at your policy as to what you count as essential. And I think, as I said, thirdly, engage with your TMC about opening dates and advice. I mean, we are living and breathing this, and things are changing hourly and daily. So working and surveying internal travellers about how they feel about travel and new priorities, we're doing that internally, and I'm very happy to share that with our customers, and we can help you with that as well. So I guess that there will definitely be changes in travel programme, and it might be that your travellers are happier to use a car than using personal transport, and therefore will stay in out of town hotels rather than central cities. So we need to anticipate that. I think, as with air, rates will fluctuate a lot as things open up, and the industry will work out how to balance supply and demand. I mean, if you have corporate rates, most of the chains will extend these through to the end of the year without volume commitments. So it will give you peace of mind that financially you won't be heavily impacted, but also there's value in looking at discounts off bar and dynamic pricing. So we're doing that with our Smart Stay range and including more properties in that, because while safety is also paramount, you will also need to be looking at great value and inclusions, because it is a very tough economy as we come out of this. So if you haven't already, get a call in with your TMC account manager to run through the options. And I guess we're all very happy to share the info we've got and keep you up to date.
Wow, that's quite a lot to do there, Jo. So I guess throughout this pandemic, what's been your biggest learning?
So personally, I think I've learned that being an extrovert is a serious liability in lockdown. I think I've driven my family mad. But I also think the pandemic has shown the resilience of our industry, and also the benefit of really true partnerships. I think we've seen companies and individuals really going out of their way to help customers internally and at our suppliers. We're all doing roles that we didn't even know how to do 8 weeks ago, getting on the phone late at night and the crack of dawn to ensure customers are looked after. From getting car hire for long times, to getting people into hotels, for sorting things out. And it's been really heartwarming to see. And we can't wait for travel to come back.
I can imagine. Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time, Jo. And we can't wait for this to end. And for us.
No, can't wait to see you soon, Claire.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.